Hi, I'm Amy. I wasn't just left out of my sister's wedding, I was erased from it. While she walked the aisle in lace and pearls, I handed out napkins in the back. And when her husband toasted, he said, "She was just the trial before I met the real one." Everyone laughed. Except me. Because I knew what they'd buried to keep their perfect story alive. You want to know what they hid? Keep watching. They say weddings bring people together. I say they show you exactly where you stand. My sister's wedding was held at a high-end venue outside of Austin. White stone arches, blooming garden paths, servers in black ties offering champagne before noon. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a catalog. Except me. I was dressed appropriately, smiled when spoken to, and even helped rearrange the floral centerpieces that morning when the florist arrived late. But I wasn't really there. Not in the way that mattered. I'd always been the helper, the extra pair of hands. Not the one people toasted. I kept checking the time, adjusting table linens, checking that the photographer was capturing the right angles. Meanwhile, my mother fluttered around like the wedding planner she'd never been, doting over my sister's hair, her veil, her shoes. Dad nodded vaguely when I walked past him, didn't even say hi. The ceremony was elegant. Classical music, teary smiles, rows of polished faces turned toward the altar. My sister looked radiant, genuinely happy. She always did know how to glow when eyes were on her. As she stood beside him, her soon-to-be husband, my stomach coiled. Something about him never sat right with me. Too charming, too practiced, like a man who'd told the same lie so many times, it sounded sweet coming off his tongue. I remember our first real conversation years ago. We were at a family barbecue. He asked if I was the quiet sister, and then smirked like he'd just labeled me a dog breed. That smirk, it haunted every interaction since. I kept those instincts to myself, of course. No one wanted to hear about gut feelings when love was in the air. Not from Amy, the youngest daughter, the fixer, the one who made things easier. I'd learned my role young. Don't rock the boat, don't take up too much space. It's funny how well people get used to you being invisible. The pews filled with whispers and tissue rustles as the priest began. I sat near the middle, far from the front, far from importance. My ex was 2 rows behind me, family friend, painful history. I didn't look back. I didn't need more memories today. The priest asked, "If anyone objects." My pulse ticked up, but no one stood. Of course not. I glanced at the groom. His smile seemed to widen. Fake warmth. Real calculation. After the vows, we moved to the reception. The venue glowed with fairy lights strung above tables. Laughter floated through the air. Toasts were made. Glasses clinked. My feet ached, so I stood to the side, sipping wine slowly. A drunk aunt leaned in, breath thick with champagne. "You'll find someone someday too, Amy," she slurred. I nodded, eyes fixed on the centerpiece, counting petals to stay calm. I wanted to leave, but I stayed. Then he took the mic. The groom, in his custom-fit tux, held up his glass. "I want to say something. Unscripted," he began. Everyone quieted. "This woman," he said, gesturing to my sister, "has changed my life." Applause. Smiles. But, let's be real. He laughed, and the crowd followed. She wasn't the first. She was just the trial before I met the real one. Laughter faltered. A ripple of confusion passed through the room. Some still chuckled, not sure if they should. My spine stiffened. My hand gripped the stem of the wineglass so tightly I felt the tremble in my wrist. I locked eyes with him. He looked right at me, and he smirked. It wasn't just cruel, it was calculated. That look was meant for me, like a snake flicking its tongue, satisfied it struck the right nerve. My sister stood beside him, her smile still frozen, like she didn't fully hear what he'd just said. Or maybe she was choosing not to understand. That was her way. Always had been. I didn't say a word. I stood slowly, the scraping of my chair more jarring than any scream. People turned, whispered, but I kept walking. Through the rows of startled faces, past the blurred stairs, until I reached the exit. Outside, the sun had shifted lower in the sky. It burned warmer on my skin than I remembered. I didn't know what I was going to do next. But I knew one thing, he wanted me to break, and I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. I woke up with the kind of weight in my chest that makes it hard to breathe before your eyes even open. My head throbbed, my skin felt tight and dry, and the inside of my mouth tasted like bad wine and worse choices. I was still in the bridesmaid dress, crumpled, wrinkled, mascara smeared under my eyes. The ceiling fan above me spun lazily, a soft clicking noise reminding me I wasn't in my own bed. The guest room at my parents' house hadn't changed since high school. Same floral comforter, same creaky dresser, frozen in time, like the rest of the family. I pulled the sheets off and sat up slowly. The room swam for a second before I steadied myself. Voices drifted up from the kitchen. Laughter. Someone was retelling the story from last night. I didn't need to hear every word. I recognized the cadence of dismissal, the way people wrap cruelty in humor like it's a party favor. My heels were on the floor, knocked sideways like I'd kicked them off mid-stumble. I reached for them but paused, catching my reflection in the vanity mirror. My hair was matted, eyeliner smudged, but it was the look in my own eyes that startled me. Empty, but not numb, just raw. I went downstairs without brushing my hair, still in that same crumpled dress. Let them see it. Let them ask. They didn't. Mom was slicing cantaloupe at the kitchen counter. Aunt Louise sat at the table with a cup of black coffee and a gossip magazine. Dad was outside tending to the grill like it was a normal Sunday. "Morning, sweetheart," Mom chirped without turning. "There's bagels in the toaster if you want one." I pulled out a chair and sat down quietly. The vinyl seat creaked under me. "I want to talk about last night." Mom paused mid-slice, her knife hanging over the fruit. "Oh, honey, you're still upset?" I didn't answer immediately. She sighed and turned to face me. "It was just a joke." Everyone laughed. I didn't. He was nervous. Men say dumb things when they're nervous. You know that. "No, Mom." He looked at me, directly. "That wasn't nerves. That was intentional." She rolled her eyes. "You always take things too personally. You've got to stop being so sensitive." There it was. The sentence that smoothed over every bruise in our family. Amy's too sensitive, always has been. "It wasn't about being sensitive," I said, firmer this time. "It was mean, and you all just let it happen." Louise piped up without looking away from her magazine. "Honey, you can't let men like that get under your skin. Your sister looked happy. That's what matters." Of course, the happiness of the golden child, the image. I got up, my chair scraping back. "You don't see it, do you? You never have." Mom went back to slicing. "I see a daughter who's trying to make a scene out of nothing. This is why people get tired around you." Her words didn't sting the way they used to. They settled differently now, like ashes instead of fire. I left the kitchen. Each step up the stairs was heavier than the last. I stood in front of the hallway mirror, staring at a woman in yesterday's dress with no place left in her own family. In my room, I pulled out my old suitcase from under the bed. It still had stickers from college. I packed quietly, jeans, a couple shirts, my charger. Left the bridesmaid dress folded in a pile on the dresser like a receipt I didn't want. Downstairs, the laughter continued. Outside, I could see them gathering for brunch, my sister radiant, holding court like a queen. I could stay. I could fake it, smile through my teeth, let them believe I was okay. But when I glanced at my reflection again, something in me said, no. I scribbled a note and left it on the nightstand. 4 words. I need some space. Then I slipped out the back door with nothing but my bag and my car keys. I didn't expect anyone to notice, and I was right. No one came running, not a single voice called my name, but something shifted as I stepped into the sunlight. My chest was still tight, but not from shame, from clarity. Sitting in my car, I opened the voice memo app. I stared at the screen for a long while, then hit record. "You know exactly why he said it," I whispered, voice steady. My finger hovered over the send button. "And if you didn't laugh, why didn't you stop him?" I drove through suburbs I used to know well, streets lined with oak trees and trimmed lawns, sunlight slanting across dashboard, making everything look softer than it felt. I arrived at Petra's apartment, fed up, raw, but hoping the quiet inside would heal something. The door opened. She smiled. No judgment, just hands clasped for comfort, and wine poured into tall glasses. It was peace. I wept in her living room, tears neither loud nor sobbing. Release. Petra listened while the afternoon unfolded. I told her about the dance in high school, how my sister made a joke to my crush about a rash I didn't have. Terrible, childish. But Mom said, "Don't take it to heart, it's just sibling stuff." I believed her. I believed that was normal. Over time, I believed my silence was easier than fight. I flipped through a photo app on my phone. There was a picture taken at a family picnic. My sister in center, Mom's arm wrapped around her. Me. I stood 2 steps behind, half smile, body turned slightly away. I paused on another, my hands tucked at my sides. Someone else handed the cake, not me. I deleted one photo. Then another. I thought, if they don't see me in pictures, maybe I'll stop feeling invisible. The phone vibrated. Father. A message. Let's not make this a bigger deal than it is. I stared at the words long enough to feel anger not into resolve. It was always so easy for him to brush off what hurt me, defend what hurt me in the name of peace and image. Petra said, "You don't owe them silence." I drafted a reply. "Stop dismissing me." I read it aloud, didn't send, heard myself for first time. Later, I drew a line in my journal. Here's what they never asked. I wrote what siblings do, what mothers overlook, what fathers allow in silence. I wrote that I would no longer celebrate moments that served everyone but me. Petra nodded. I felt something shift. Anger, yes, but also clarity. I could choose to stand instead of fade. Then my phone buzzed again. An email with subject. Family dinner. Let's move forward. My heart stuttered. I didn't know what move forward meant when I felt backward daily. When the people who hurt you want peace, often they want your silence. I closed my laptop. Sunlight on the floor looked sharp. I felt like I was seeing truth, unfiltered. Not what others told me, not what I told myself to stay safe. I arrive home late afternoon. The light inside the foyer is soft, but sharp enough to show every mark on the varnished wood floor, every fingerprint on glass. Wedding portraits line the hallway, each one a reminder. Smiles, gowns, bouquets, all perfect. Mine missing. I pause in front of the large framed photo of the toast. Sister and groom, hands joined, crowd applauding. Underneath, engraved names. Hers, his, mother's. Not mine, not even mentioned. My throat tightens. My reflection in the glass looks smaller than I feel. I step closer. Inspect the display. Spots reserved for those named last night. Chairs at tables. Plaques in frames. Nameplates glinting gold. I imagine myself standing there, spoken of, thanked, invisible hands shaping my place while I stand aside. I swallow hard. Sister, I say, voice even. She's behind me, talking about someone else being left out of thanks. I interrupt. Why wasn't I named in the toast? My words cut the hush. Her laugh is soft but sharp. Oh, I forgot. She glances at Mother. You know how everyone gets nervous. Mother appears, smoothing her dress, whispering that no one meant to hurt. I feel betrayal, because I know it was more than oversight. I see the plated names. I see the engraving. It wasn't a mistake. That evening, I wander into the display area. I kneel beside the bottom photo mount. Under the corner, hidden confetti, glitter in gold and ivory, the same used during speeches. Some slipped away, some swept aside. Like the truth, I pick up a triangle of gold. I let it fall between my fingers. Tiny, sharp. I leave the house, head to the cafe I used to sit in alone. Quiet place, a window seat. I order black coffee, no sugar. Looking out, I watch rain clouds gather. I recall flashes, toast, display, confetti, all pieces of the same story. They laughed. They helped hide the truth. I pull out my journal. Right, they all laughed, but someone tried to sweep me under the rug. I note every detail I can remember. The look on Sister's face, Mom's excuse, Father's silence, the way shadows fell across my shoulders in pictures. I breathe, hands trembling, because I finally see clearly. As I pack up to leave, I find an envelope between pages of a book I was reading. My sister's handwriting. To the one I thought forgotten. My heart beats fast. I don't open it. I fold it into my bag. I walk into the evening with sunlight fading behind me. The hallway smelled of waxed wood and dinner plans when I stepped into their house again. Candles flickered in the entry, soft amber light that did nothing to warm the cold under my skin. As I walked past the drawing room, guests chatted in low tones, dressed in fine fabrics. Music drifted from the dining room, strings, laughter, clinking glasses. I paused. My mother caught my eye. Her smile was practiced. Her eyes were distant. They seated me at a long table, between cousins I barely know and colleagues of Colton's. The air felt too thick. The candles' flame shadows danced across china plates. Soft music played. Conversation bubbled. I kept my back straight, my chest tight. I counted syllables in greetings. My heart pounded each time someone leaned in close, whispers just out of earshot. From across the room, a distant cousin, someone I once trusted, leaned over. "I heard what he said last night," they said, voice low. "One of your friends told me." I couldn't believe it. Faces shifted. Glasses stopped mid-lift. The room pulled sharper edges. I forced a smile. "What friend?" I asked. They shrugged, looking away. No name. Still, I felt the truth laid bare. Everyone had heard. Everyone but me. My sister's voice faltered. Her shoulders tightened. But she said nothing substantial. The murmurs settled before the toast, but I felt their weight still. Then, expectedly, they pointed to me. I stood, cleared my throat, prepared words. But before I could speak, Colton stepped up. He claimed the microphone as though I'd never been invited to use it. "I want to say a few words first," he began, smooth. The room hushed. Then he praised her. Lovely bride, warm partner. Then, with that practiced ease, he delivered it. "You know, before you find the real thing, you go through trials." My stomach sank. My face burned. Laughter around me, soft at first, then polite, then cruel. The room applauded, my lips pressed shut. I sank back into my chair, invisible under the noise. Mother clapped the hardest. Sister smiled wide. I clasped my hands on my lap, held the wine glass until I felt sweat on my palm. The world blurred a little. I thought of all the times I held back, stayed quiet so nothing broke. So at least love looked clean. After the speeches, people clustered around Colton and Marla. I drifted to a corner by the window. Outside, the night air tasted of rain. I took a small sip of wine. Bitter. I watched other guests raise glasses, laugh, exchange stories about memories. None of them included me. None asked if I felt seen. My heart ached. Betrayal wasn't a loud scream. It was every polite smile turning away. In that moment, something settled in my chest. Not shame. A shape I recognized. Resolve. I would not stay for the rest of the night. I would not swallow this. I stood, chair scraping softly against the floor. Eyes shifted. Some cold, some surprised. I walked forward, past the table, past the cluster of congratulations. My sister's hand twitched. Mom's face flickered. Colton looked like he'd rehearsed every word, until now. I didn't make noise, but I stood. Tyrell's living room smelled like old books and warm wood. Late at night, his overhead lamp cast gentle shadows across his face. He paced like someone carrying a secret too heavy to set down. When he finally met my eyes, I saw regret there, and something like courage. He say nothing for a minute, then he swallows and shows me his phone. A voice memo. Colton's voice. Clear. Private. "I never loved her," it starts. "I married her because everyone wanted me to. Because family image matters more than truth." He admits in that half-whispered tone that he meant the toast for show. The speech wasn't for love, it was for illusions. My blood pounds. Shock fires in my chest. Raw pain slices through me. Then vindication. Yes, this is it. The proof I could never touch before. Tyrell watches me. I listen to every word again. I hear the laughter in the distance, but this time it sounds hollow. I remember nights I smiled to keep peace. I remember moments I swallowed what I wanted to say. So you lied, I say softly. My voice shakes. Tyrell nods. I kept this because I believed you deserved the truth when you were ready. I close my eyes. Betrayal. And yet something heavier. Disappointment in myself for fearing truth more than pain. I ask Tyrell for help. He fetches drafts, speeches Colton had edited, guest emails, slideshows where my name was blanked out. We pull up photos, time-stamped, seating charts, someone else's email about keeping the image clean. I see it all, the careful erasures, the gaps, cold logic replacing raw emotion. I piece together a puzzle they thought was hidden. By midnight, I type up a plan. I craft a short video titled Not the Trial. Voice memo at its center. Pictures that should have included my name. Screenshots of conversations. I post it quietly, scheduled so it goes live just after midnight. The response comes fast. Comments poured in. Support, disbelief, anger. Some say, I had no idea. Others call it messy. Colton posts something hopeful and vague. Truths are complex. Marla posts wistful pictures of us sisters smiling. But between the images, you see cracks. Between her words, hesitation. I read their replies, share a screenshot of the post with Petra. She texts back, "You did right by yourself." My chest tightens, but this time from pride. Betrayal still stings, but something inside me stands taller. Late at night, someone knocks at my door. I open it. A sealed envelope lies on the welcome mat. No tears, just weight. My mother's handwriting. The words printed through a thin paper. I cannot stay silent any longer. My hand trembles as I lift the flap. I stare at the message. Apology? Confession? Threat? I fold the paper over. I don't read more. I won't let this moment unravel me. I clasp the envelope to my chest. I stand in my doorway under the porch light. The air smells of damp earth. I let the night stretch around me. And because once the silence breaks, everything trembles. I stepped into the rental hall early. Morning light filtered in through tall windows. The same place where everyone smiled at my sister. Today, it held something else. I arranged a small display. A seating chart with my name visible. Photo prints with me included. The video from the wedding that cut me out. I draped a projector screen. Tyrell had arrived already, quiet, supportive. He carried my phone with the voice memo. My heart thudded. This isn't about forgiveness anymore. It's not just about being seen. It's about truth. Guests began arriving. Soft footsteps on polished floors. Some curious, some avoiding me. My sister came, her dress perfect, hair pinned just so. Colton beside her, posture confident. I stood in front of the crowd and said, "I have something important to share." Silence fell. I projected the video. The toast where I wasn't named, the engraving without me, images of moments I helped plan but never got credit for. One photo showed the table settings with blanks where my name should have been. Another, the RSVP list. The audience gasped. Murmurs rose. My sister's face shifted, her lips tight. Colton's eyes flicked to the screen. I saw pride slip to worry. Then I pulled out the envelope. To the one I thought forgotten, it read. I unfolded it and read aloud passages written by Mom. She admitted looking past me, always admiring sister more, pushing me into the background. My father's regrets, words I needed. I met my mother's eyes. Why did you let them erase me? The room went still. Her hands shook. The audio clip played at the same time. The voice memo backed every line, the note and the recordings. Colton opened his mouth, but the pause hung heavy. Colton tried to discredit. "This is exaggerated," he said. He argued sister had told him things, that I never asked to be involved, that maybe I misinterpreted. Some guests nodded politely, Others frowned. But Tyrell held up emails, drafts, seating chart revisions, messages where my name was absent knowingly. Ramona displayed photos showing efforts I made rejected, explanations cut. Evidence piled up. I felt something fierce. They couldn't rewrite this when truth was laid bare. I placed a framed photo I saved earlier on the display. Me smiling, standing near setup carts, helping move chairs, watering flowers. I said, "This is who I was. It's time I become who I am." The room stuttered in silence. Then I stepped back, feeling all those years of invisibility burn behind me. No tears, no loud accusation, just truth spoken. Because silence cost me enough. I stood in the hallway outside the rented hall, the same high ceiling, the same grand doors that once framed my sister's entrance. The echoes of laughter from that night ghosted through the polished floors. Petra, Tyrell, Zinnia were there. A few others who had avoided eye contact before now shifted awkwardly in their seats. I handed out packets of evidence, seating charts, voice memos, photos. My palms trembled, but I spoke firmly. Tonight, truth takes center stage. My voice carried down the hall. This was no longer about hurt. It was about being seen. They crowded inside. Guests moved near tables, whispering. I asked for attention. Their faces blurred into expectation. I laid out the backup groom theory, texts where Colton messaged me first, invitations to events later erased, family pressure reshaping his decisions. Photos from my phone showed moments, him offering help, me smiling, before being edited out of slideshows. A murmur rolled through the room. Shock. Disbelief. Some anger. Marla's lips pressed tight. Colton shifted, jaw tightening. Then I held up the note I found earlier, to the one I thought forgotten. I read aloud, voice even, passages from my mother's hand. How I was overlooked, how Dad regretted never seeing me properly. I addressed Mom in front of everyone. Why did you let them erase me? The note and the voice memo played together. The audio clawed at silence. Mother's hands shook. Colton tried to look calm. The room held its breath. Colton rose then, intent on damage control. "This is exaggerated," he said. He claimed sister told him things he never asked about. Guests exchanged looks. Some nodded. Others frowned. Ramona stood near me, holds unredacted drafts, emails, photos that countered his claims. Evidence exposed the lies, the omissions. I watched Colton's face falter. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from vindication. I placed a photo I saved earlier, me smiling while moving chairs, adjusting decorations, helping behind the scenes. I set it on the display. I said, "This is who I was. It's time I become who I am." Something shifted, a moral victory filling a room long built on silences. Music felt distant, eyes wet, walls narrowed around truth. Then I stepped back. No shouting, no crying, just silence and faces that recognized what had been hidden. Livestream started. I held my phone, opened the post. Video, memos, photos, all laid bare. Comments streamed. Support, anger, disbelief. People I didn't expect voiced solidarity. Some criticized. Marla posted an image of us when we were children, her caption sweet but defensive. Colton's statement came later, crafted, polished, but I saw cracks. Backstage, I looked in the mirror, under light, under scrutiny. I saw the woman who was invisible, now standing solid. Then I saw a white envelope slid under the door. My name scrawled on it in Mother's handwriting. I paused. I lifted the flap. A single line. "I always believed you would one day stop shrinking." I held that line close, and I whispered, not regret, but resolve. Sunday morning broke soft and quiet. The porch was cool beneath my bare feet, the wood still holding the chill of the night before. I sat with a cup of coffee, the steam rising like the memories I couldn't quite put down. In the corner of an old drawer, tucked under yellowing receipts and tangled cords, I found it. A letter. Folded 3 times. My handwriting, slanted and angry. I had written it to Marla, years ago. After Colton's first betrayal, But before their wedding, I had meant to send it. I hadn't. I read it aloud, alone, words sharp, then tender. I was pleading back then, hoping she'd see me. But today, my voice didn't shake. Not once. I folded it again, placed it back. Some truths don't need to be delivered. They just need to be survived. Around mid-morning, the screen door creaked open. Zinnia stepped in with her usual grace, a paper bag and a smirk. "Still brewing the strong stuff, I hope?" We sat on the porch, side by side, sipping slow. She told me about a man from her past, a preacher, of all people. Loved her, but not enough to choose her. She smiled when she said it. "You didn't lose the life you were meant to have, Amy. You left the one that was stealing who you are." I didn't respond right away, just looked out at the street. But something inside softened. For the first time in a long while, my smile wasn't forced. It reached my eyes. Later that day, I heard my phone buzz from the kitchen. It was a voice message from Tyrell. I hadn't seen him since the gathering. I sat down, pressed play. His voice was calm, honest. He told me he was the one who anonymously sent that last piece of proof. Those files, the photos, the recordings. "I just couldn't sit back anymore," he said. "I know I'm not family, but I saw it, and you deserved better." I listened twice. Not because I doubted him, but because it felt good to hear someone admit the truth without needing credit. I sent a message back. "Thank you." No expectations, just thank you. I left it there, no more reaching, no more waiting. That night, I sat down with a blank page. At the top, I wrote, "Things I want to do without permission. Travel solo, join a community choir, visit my mother's childhood town just once to understand where all this began." I packed a small bag, took the letter I'd never sent, placed it gently in a box of keepsakes, not as weight, but as witness. I zipped the bag, stood still, and whispered to no one in particular, "Closure doesn't knock. You build it." I was locking up, keys in hand, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. I answered. "Hello?" It was Marla. Her voice didn't have the usual polish. It cracked, just slightly. "Can we talk?" she said. "Just the two of us. No husbands, no history, just sisters." I closed my eyes. Exhaled. "You've got 5 minutes," I said. "Say what matters."